Hi goal-getters, today we are going to be exploring exciting business opportunities that are suitable for small towns or villages or whatever you may call them. So these machines are rental machines that could do very well across Africa. So if you are especially in West Africa or East Africa, these business opportunities are those you shouldn't take for granted, for one never knows, they might just be your ticket to success. So if this is something that catches your interest, please go nowhere, for we are going to be diving into that pretty soon. But before we do that, let me seize this opportunity to announce to those who don't know yet that Africa Today is launching a joint venture to produce the very first made in Africa diaper brand from scratch. So if this is something that appeals to you and you would love to be part of this amazing adventure, please do well to rush to our membership, for every detail you need to know is on there. That said, let's get straight into the video. So one thing you need to understand is that in most African small towns or villages, people really do strain to get access to production machines. So if you're a smart person, you would know that there are certain machines that if you go to certain localities, you are going to be making a lot of money. So I am talking of rental machines, all right? You aren't renting the machines for people to go and use and bring them back. No, you just station them on one spot and the people come and rent and use it there and pay for the services. And it is so good because you aren't the one doing the work, right? Your clients are the ones doing the work. So basically, your fixed capital is what is generating your income and you are just cashing out and enjoying your life. So the first machine I will talk about here is the oil palm extractor. So just from the name, you can already understand that it extracts oil from palm fruits, right? This is some business go-getter that can really bring you some good passive income effortlessly, all right? There's this lady in the littoral region of Cameroon, that is Konjo. She was smart enough to notice that need in Konjo and she bought her machine and she is making a lot of money, all right? One thing you should understand is that in rural areas or in most rural areas, a lot of people still produce palm oil traditional way, that is with their feet. And you know, nowadays, a lot of people aren't comfortable consuming palm oil that they know is still made that way. And secondly, the traditional way of producing palm oil is very strenuous and time consuming. So this machine is that one machine that actually revolutionized everything for her in that area, right? So this is a machine that you can just buy, install, and start making money immediately. And also, if you want to make even more money, you can actually produce your own palm oil yourself in order to maximize profit. But if you aren't interested in producing palm kernels or whatever, you can just limit yourself at the rental services. So this business is actually a good one because it is quite affordable, all right? It's true that it depends on the capacities. There are machines that you could get for $60,000 or $100,000, but you could still start with as little as $1,000. There are machines for $1,000, but just that the capacity is very limited, all right? So you could still start with that and upgrade later on. So let's just assume that people rent your machine maybe for as little as $5 to use, right, per day, and you succeed to get maybe, let's just take an average of 20 clients per day. So if we take 20 times the $5, you have $100 already that you could make per day. And in a week's time, let's just assume you do that for 5 days, you can already lay your hands on a $500. And if that goes on per month, you could cash out a $2,200. So imagine buying your machine for $1,000. Let's assume that yes, you maybe pay the import fee or whatsoever, custom duties and all the like. You might maybe end up spending like maybe $1,500, or even if you spend $2,000 at the end of it, there's no problem, right? This is something that you are going to be breaking even by the first month. So do you see how lucrative this business could be? So if you're in a country like Cameroon, it is even the best business for you because at the level of custom duties, you are going to be having a 20 to 30% discount on all agricultural machinery, all right? So this is something that I would advise you take seriously if you're a Cameroonian. Next on our list, let's talk about the rice milling machine. Yes, if you are in any area or you know any small town or rural area around you where rice is being cultivated, this machine is that one machine that you could seize the opportunity to make good money for yourself. So basically what this machine does is simply removes husk and bran from rice grains. So I fell on this video where this guy in Nigeria rents out his rice miller during harvest seasons, that is rice harvest seasons, right? And he is cashing out big. So you see, the thing with such machines is that it is actually a win-win something, because while you are saving time and effort for the farmers, you are in turn earning a stable income. Like I said, the good thing is that they are the ones doing the work and you are just cashing out. So the rice milling machine, just as the oil palm milling machine, it's generally rented at about $5 per client, right? So it is capable of actually giving you a minimum of $100 per day, $500 per week, and $2,200 per month. And remember, this is a machine that you're going to be buying for up to $18,000 if you go for the biggest capacity, if you've got the money, or as little as $1,000. So imagine getting something for $1,000, and like I always say, even if you spend on custom duties and all the like, you are still going to be breaking even in at most 3 months. So next on our list, let's talk about the peanut peeling machine. So this machine is that machine that shells and sorts peanuts. So this peanut machine generally will be rented at about, let's say, $4 per client, and it can give you roughly about $80 per day. So that per week is going to be giving you something like $400. Remember, when we talk of per week on the channel, we mostly refer to 5 days in a week. So that per month is going to be giving you something like $1,700 and something dollars or so. So this is some business goal getter that if you are a smart goal getter out there and you have access to a place where peanut is being cultivated, you are going to be making a lot of money. So this machine will do well in the north of Cameroon or in countries like Senegal also. So if you are in any of these countries, Cameroon, Senegal, this is something you should definitely go for. So if you want to lay your hands on a peanut peeling machine, you will need to disburse something like $3,000 to $50,000 depending on the capacity, all right? And let's assume you go for the $3,000 option. This is something that you could already break even in, let's say, in a maximum of 6 months, you would have broken even, right? So this is something you should consider if you are a smart goal getter. Next on our list, goal getter, let's talk about the power generator, yes, for electricity, right? So this is that one machine that is going to be providing electricity in rural areas during outages. So this machine, honestly, is one of the most lucrative businesses you could start in a rural area or in a small town where there are seizures. You know, in most small towns or villages in most African countries, people experience a lot of outages. So you can seize the opportunity to make money with the power generator. And you know, when we talk of power generators, it has a lot to do with the capacity and configurations. So for such a business, you will need something that can really supply to a lot of people. So generally, you could still have a power generator for as little as $1,000. But now, if we are talking of something that you will be using commercially, you will need to go for those that will cost about $9,000 or so. So this is some business that is meant for those who can actually afford it, but it is very, very lucrative, if not one of the most lucrative. Power generators are generally rented by people for various reasons, all right? People maybe who have maybe their events and they just want to play safe in a case where maybe there's a seizure. They know they've got something to illuminate the area instantly. Some people rent them for certain reasons because there's actually blackout, right? So this is something that people rent a lot, and per day, let's assume that business is not working. The worst case scenario, you can slack a $50 per day, all right? So this machine is going to be generating at least $1,500 for you per month, which is something not negligible at all right? Like I said, you could actually get one for $1,000 and start with, and maybe upgrade with time. So this business could do very well in countries like Ghana, Cameroon, and especially Nigeria. You know why, all right? It will do well in Nigeria because Nigerians really do suffer a lot from electricity shortage, outages all the time and all the like. But at the same time, they are one of the highest people who host parties, events all the time, all right? So this is something that would do very, very well in Nigeria due to the unreliable power supply they've got. And another way to do this, if you go for the bigger capacity, all right, you could actually do your business in a way that you don't even rent it out. You've got it stationed in your home and people just come and use it. You know, when there are outages, people need to charge their laptops, their phones, and all the like. So this is something that will be very timely for people during those circumstances. Next on our list, we are going to be talking about the pressure washer. Yeah, this is something that is so needed in big cities. Then imagine how much it could be needed in villages or small towns. So obviously the function of a pressure washer is to deep clean surfaces with high pressure, which is something that the majority of the population don't have at home. So they will generally rent it whenever need be, right? So the pressure washer is equally one of those machines that you can get for as little as $1,000. Let's assume that you rent it out for just $2, which is obviously too cheap, right? Or maybe $2.50, right? This is something that could generate anywhere between maybe, let's just say, a minimum of $60 per day. And per week, you are going to be having something like $360, and per month, you can't lack a $1,500 in your hands for something you bought for just as little as $1,000. So this is something that if you are smart, you know what to do. Now let's talk about a spraying machine or a sprayer. So a spraying machine is that machine that is used to apply things like pesticides or paints evenly over large surface areas. And also if you've got a lot of painters around, they can actually rent it, because painters rent such machines when they've got larger projects, that's larger surfaces to paint. They need these machines. So this is something that farmers rent regularly to spray on their crops in order to protect their crops, right? Here in Cameroon, farmers do look for sprayers all the time. Even in countries like Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, or you name it, a lot of farmers look for such machines to rent. So this is some business that if you are in any of those countries, you need to think twice. Now, this one is one of the most lucrative because it is even cheaper than the others, all right? With as little as $330 to maybe $500, you can lay your hands on a good sprayer. So this is something that I don't even understand why you should hesitate starting such a business if you've got farmers around. So imagine spending $500 on a machine, or even as low as $300, and making a minimum of $50 per day, $250 per week, and a whooping $1,100 or even just $1,000 per month. Isn't that amazing? So go-getters, these are some of those business ideas that you can even hop on right now if you want to. Next on our list, we are going to be talking about the borehole drilling machine. This is one of the most lucrative on our list. So the reason why I told you that the borehole drilling machine is the most lucrative on the list is simply because this is some business that your client, that is one client, actually acts as 3 clients at a time. Let me explain. So averagely, a borehole drilling machine is rented at about $750 per day. But let's just take the minimum, all right, that you give it at the cheapest rate possible. Let's take $600 per day, all right? Now, the thing is, what I meant by one client acting as 3 clients is because it is a procedure, so it takes 3 days. So your one client is going to be renting your machine for 3 days. And the thing is, with this business, generally the owners will have a team, all right, that is operating the machine, because it is a machine that cannot be operated by everyone. So you have your team or your worker or your personnel or whatsoever that is going along with the machine to do the work there. So generally they are going to be paying you the least, like we said, $600 per day. So that times 3 gives you already $1,800 that client is going to be paying you for 3 days of service. Right? So let's assume that in a worst case scenario, you succeed in having just 2 clients per week. You can lay your hands already on a $3,600 check per week. Now, if we go to a month, you are not going to be making anything less than $14,000 per month. And mark you, this is a machine that you bought for just $3,000 to at most $5,000. Even if you have to spend on custom duties and all the like, you are going to maybe be spending at most, let's say the worst case scenario, $7,000 for your machine. So imagine making $14,000 per month. If people know about your services, you are even going to be making more. So this is that machine that once you get it and people know about it, Just from the first month of service, you are going to be breaking even. How good is that? Let's now talk about the electric saw. Yes, this is something that is much needed in rural areas or small towns. In such areas, people fell a lot of trees, and also furniture makers, they need this electric saw for various reasons. So this saw will cut not only wood but also other materials precisely. So the demand for this machine is enormous. For most people who are involved in craft in general, will generally need this machine. Now you need to understand that a lot of people are building that is involving in construction in African countries. So during construction booms, generally electric saw rentals become essential for small scale builders and DIY enthusiasts. So this is something that you can never go wrong with. Alright, so to lay hands on one, you will need to disburse something about $1,300 to at most $2,000, which is something that I think is fair play, because you are going to be renting it out for at least $40 per day, giving you something like $240 per week and at least $1,000 per month. So this is something you'll get at that. If you know how to go about it, you can actually break even in a month's time. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people never think of when it comes to business, which is something that is very, very lucrative and effortlessly. This is something that you don't even need to do it yourself, all right? You just need to have maybe one person that you dedicate to doing the task for you, that is transporting it and getting a couple of hands to help mount it, and you cash out, all right? So I am referring here to a tent business. Yes, tent renting business. This is something that you don't need to be an event planner. You don't need to have any other rental service. That is, you don't need to be renting out maybe dishes and all the like. You don't need to be renting out chairs or tables or whatsoever. You can just focus on buying a lot of tents and making people know that you've got tents for rent. And that's how you're going to be cashing out effortlessly, all right? So if you don't know, tents are actually there to provide temporary shelters during events. People love events in Africa. We've got weddings, burial ceremonies, baby showers, birthday parties and all the like, and people generally look for tents to rent. And one thing with such a business is that you are cashing out throughout the year, all right? This is not a seasonal something. Throughout the year, there are always events here and there. If it isn't a funeral, it is a birthday party. If it isn't a birthday party, it could just be maybe a family gathering or something. People need tents for them. And one thing with this business is that you will generally have someone rent a lot of them. So this is something that if you want to do, you need to buy a lot of tents, all right? Because generally people rent like a minimum of 2 tents, at times 3, 4, 5, depending on the amount of people they are hosting. So generally a tent will rent for about $50 to $150 averagely, right? So let's just take the bare minimum, $50. You rent your tent for $50 a day. Now you maybe rent, someone will take, at least like I said, most times people will take 2, 3. So let's assume someone takes, let's just say 2 tents, right? Now you've got someone who has rented 2 tents per day. Per week, assuming that you just get 1 client per day, because you can have more, right? So assuming you just get a client per day, you are going to be making your $50 times 2, $100. A week, you've got your $500, all right? Effortlessly. Now per month, you can lack a $2,000 in your pockets, which is something that you don't strain for it. And mark you, tents, unlike rental businesses like chairs and tables, tents are very compact, all right? They can be folded, right? So they don't take space. When it comes to transportation and everything, they don't take space, all right? So it is actually very easy to transport and all the like. So even if you've got maybe your team of guys who go and do the installation and you need to pay them, you are still going to be making some reasonable cash, right? And tents are quite affordable, right? With just as little as $50, you can get a good tent. So imagine buying just $50 tents and a lot of them. You are going to be making a lot of money, right? The price of tents do vary according to the size and whatever, but let's just limit ourselves to a $50 tent. You just buy, let's assume you buy 10 of them or 20, I don't know, and start renting them out. You are going to be cashing out effortlessly. So last but not the least, we are going to be talking about the almighty feed milling machine. Yes, this is one of those machines that is generating a lot of money in Africa. If you install a feed milling machine and produce feed for your own farm or whatever, you can as well let people know that you are renting it out, all right? It is stationed in your production center, yes, but people do come with their grains and mill their feed in your own machine and pay you for that. So if you don't know, this is that machine that grinds and mixes animal feed. Feed mill machine rentals are very popular in countries like Cameroon, Uganda, Ghana, and Nigeria. And maybe any other country you find yourself, you can just maybe do some more research, right? But this is something that a lot of people do rent, because some farmers do want to produce their own custom feed that is going to be suitable for their own animals, all right? Some people want to improve their animals' health and productivity in a certain particular way. They would want to actually custom make their own feed, and they don't have the feed milling machine. They are going to be renting yours. A lot of poultry farmers do rent feed milling machine for their own custom feed, and this is something that the demand keeps rising as the days go by. And a feed milling machine is quite affordable but very lucrative. It is one of those machines that you can get with as little as $1,000 to about $3,600 or so. So let's assume you go for the $1,000 option, right? Depending on how well you are known, you could make a minimum of $80 to $100 per day. But let's assume you make just $80 per day. That gives you $400 per week and $1,700 per month, which is non-negligible, all right? Imagine buying a machine for $1,000 and making your cool $1,700 per month. This is something worth considering, right? Now, go-getters, looking at the profit margin of all these machines, I can conclude that we all know that you might be maybe spending on labor, all right? If it is a machine like maybe a borehole drilling machine, that you've got a team that go on site to do the work. I know you could be spending on labor. You could be spending on taxes, right? You could maybe be spending on maintenance and repair costs, or you could still be spending on transportation. I am quite aware of all those. But even though, like we commonly say, even though you are still going to be making something reasonable that will have an impact on your finances. Now, go-getters, there is something that I would love to draw your attention to, right? You know, seasonal variations can significantly impact your earnings. So what I would suggest you do, I know machines like the rice milling machine could really face a peak during harvest seasons, and with machines like power generators that will really increase in demand during dry seasons when the hydroelectric power is less reliable. We can all agree here that the best thing to do is to actually diversify. Yes, if you want to go into this rental business and really make the most out of it, I would advise you diversify. If you've got the funds, I would advise you pick maybe 2 or 3 machines and invest in them. Maximize your machine portfolio to balance out seasonal fluctuations. Also provide excellent maintenance in order to ensure machine reliability and longevity. And another thing I would love you to also take note of is to build a strong relationship with customers like farmers, cooperatives, or construction companies. For you know, as a good business person, you need to be very good at networking. Also, I would advise you consider offering packages or discounts for a long-lasting rental relationship with your clients. Always remember that success in this business doesn't rely only on the machines alone. They actually rely on your ability to market your services. That's why on the channel, I always encourage you to have a strong social media presence if you are undertaking any business that you want to make real money. And last but not the least, go-getter, try to provide a reliable, customer-focused service, and you are definitely going to achieve success sooner than you expected. And remember, go-getter, that when I give you these business ideas, always endeavor to research on your local market before embarking on any of the business ideas I always talk of here on the channel. So now I believe that with everything I've said, with dedication and smart planning, you are definitely going to be having a successful rental business. So we can't end this video without thanking our lovely subscribers who've been always supporting the channel through the go-getter community. And if this is something that appeals to you and you aren't there, please go to our about page and click the link there, which is going to be taking you to our membership. That said, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you on my next one.